the inbound secret.
My name is Bryce, and I'm your host for The Inbound Secret, where we're talking with top performers and health experts and sales badasses alike about their strategies to optimize their well-being and performance. Once again, this is The Inbound Secret, and let's get rocking and rolling.
This is the inbound. This is the inbound. This is the inbound. The inbound. This is the inbound secret.
What's up, guys? Bryce here with The Inbound Secret again, and I've got something special for you today. We've got a unique guest coming on, and by unique, I don't mean just like all of us being individuals and we're all unique in our own way. I mean, this kid's hustling. He's 15 right now, owns 2 businesses, started with what sounds like it was some type of arbitrage. We'll investigate a little bit more, and now he's doing both national and international iPhone flipping, wholesaling, and reselling. I had to bring him on here. My man Trey first found him. I had to bring him on because there's a lot of you listeners out there and a lot of people that just need to hear this message, especially this year. 2020 has been really difficult for a lot of people, and there's always that excuse. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have a product. I don't have a service. I'm not an expert at anything. Chancellor Clay is his name. He's about to intro himself in a second. He's 15. He's been doing this for a few years, and he basically just kicked the crap out of all those excuses. So without further ado, Chancellor, intro yourself. Tell us what you're about. Give the people something to kind of have some motivation on. Let's just kind of play off the cuff from there.
Alrighty, sounds good. Well, my name is Chancellor Clay, and I'm 15 years old, and I currently run 2 businesses. My first business is an online used bookstore. So essentially what I do is I buy used books, DVDs, and CDs in wholesale quantities, and then I piece them out online. And then the ones I don't sell go over to the thrift store for a tax write-off. And then my second business is an iPhone reselling business. Now, there's 2 parts of that. The first one is I buy iPhones, electronics, all that good stuff locally, and then I have pretty good profit margins on that. And then my second business is a iPhone wholesale. The second side of the business is an iPhone wholesale. And so essentially what I do is I buy used iPhones, iPads, everything under the sun in wholesale quantities, and then I send them overseas where devices are worth considerably more.
All right, so I've got to ask, because the first business you started before the iPhones, right? You buy wholesale books, you piece them out. So you're basically doing wholesale to retail for specialty. I'm assuming it's textbooks. Is that kind of the primary market there?
So actually very little of what I do is textbooks. The majority of what I do is mass market books and ones that are ones that are in demand right now. And so I'll get in, a bunch of books, a couple hundred books from either libraries, private collections, garage sales, anywhere. And so I'll scan them into a system, see which ones sell good, and then I'll list those online. And the ones that are rejects go over to the thrift store for a tax deduction.
I did. So the reason I ask is there's a system called arbitrage, and I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but that's almost to a T what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And arbitrage is kind of this like mystery figure, right? Because it almost sounds too good to be true that you could buy something that's already for sale and then just relist the thing for a markup and be able to profit from it. And in your case, you took it a step further and you were like, well, I don't want to just get rid of this inventory. How do I benefit from it? And how does somebody else benefit from it? So you're actually donating it to a cause that's going to use it, help somebody else with it, and you get the benefit of the tax write-off. Mm-hmm. What got you into that?
Alrighty. So as you can see behind me, I'm a big book nerd, and so whenever I go into like a thrift store or just a general store, I bolt over to the book section just to see what they have on the shelves. And so I started to notice the price discrepancies between the used books on the shelves and then the used books online. And I was like, maybe I can make a quick buck this way. So I bought a couple dozen books, listed them online, and to my surprise, they actually sold relatively fast with pretty good profit margins. And so it's just been gradually scaling up from that point.
So just as a curiosity here, because you've got my attention with that alone, before we even get to the electronics, what kind of volume are you doing now?
So currently, I started out. Let's see, I was 13, so it's been about 2 years with that business, and so I started out with a couple $100, 50 or 60 books, and I've scaled it up to where this year I've sold 1,500 books, I believe, 1,500 books, DVDs, and then CDs.
And just for the people listening, approximately how much did that bring in revenue?
Let's see. So we average about $2,000 a month in profit with those books, and so looking anywhere between 20 to 22,000. After everything, fees, shipping, everything said and done.
How much time does it take you per day to make $2,000 profit from the books?
So it actually doesn't take too long, and so I've got the system down to where it only takes me like 2 or 3 minutes to list a book online. And with how I'm listing the books, those books are guaranteed to sell, and so I only contribute 2 or 3 hours a day to that. So it's not too much.
So I want everybody listening to think about what just was said. At 13, you started with a couple books just from your local thrift stores, and in 2 years, you've gotten it to the point, just using and reinvesting funds that you've gotten from it, you've been able to build it up to an almost passive 2,000 a month with approximately 2.5 hours a day of you just being behind a computer in the comfort of your own home, making roughly 2,000 to 3,000 a month, correct? In profit, you mentioned.
Yeah, in profit.
Okay. How many of you out there are looking for something to do? Because Chancellor just kind of blew the lid on the fact that you can do this really anywhere with anything. If you can do it with books, you can do it with computers, clearly tablets and iPhones, shoes, sports equipment, video games, TVs, accessories. So I've got to ask, you've clearly got the entrepreneurial bug. Is that something that you inherited from your parents, or are you like a first generation entrepreneur?
So I'm an oddball in this scenario. So both my parents, they work traditional jobs and they're highly educated in their fields. And so, they work their 9 to 5s while, I just do my entrepreneur stuff.
I dig it. So first generation entrepreneur coming from a successful, educated family, just decided you didn't want to do the 9 to 5. You wanted to carve your own route. So how did you go from books at 13 to iPhone wholesaling, reselling within the last 2 years? How did that come to be? Because it's not like apples and apples. It's like apples and potatoes. Yeah. Like they're way different. How'd you get there?
So personally, I'm a tech geek, and so I like exploring all things tech related. And so there was a lot of publicity around the iPhone 11 launch, like October of 2019. And so I noticed the price discrepancies between the eBay prices on the iPhone 11 and the Facebook Marketplace prices on the iPhone 11. So I watched a couple of videos, read a few articles, and I thought, I might be able to do something like this. So I bought a cracked iPhone 4S, which is like 10 years old, for like $9. And I sold it on eBay overnight for like $25. And so immediately I was hooked on this because it was just like, oh geez, I just made, $15, with like 1 hour of work. Dang, that's pretty good. So anyway, I started scaling up by buying like iPhone 6s, iPhone 7s, iPhone 8s, the really old models for 20 to $50. I'd flip them on eBay for 70, 80, $100. And so eventually I got to the point where I was buying like the iPhone 11 Pro Maxes, the big boys. And so eBay just really wasn't suiting me at the point because there were a lot of scammers on there, and the fees were like 10% on a book isn't too bad when it's like $10-20, it's whatever. But on like an $800 phone, losing $80 profit right then and there, that hurts. And so I started getting into selling to direct suppliers, and over time I eventually became a direct supplier.
So you started in like mid to late 2019. So year and a half, almost 2 years ago. You said you started with $9?
Yeah, that was my initial test purchase.
That was your initial purchase.
Yeah, I think I started actually with like $200, but
Okay. So same set of questions.
Mhm.
What kind of volume are you doing now?
So currently my volumes are really wacky right now. So, I transitioned from, mainly local sales to mainly wholesale sales.
Mhm.
And so, my volume now is like, it's, anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000 a week in total, gross. But, my profit margins are much slimmer on wholesale
Yeah.
devices. But total from start to now, I now have, it's just shy of $20,000 to work with for wholesale deals.
Okay. And what's your profit margin on what you're doing with the iPhone thing right now?
So currently, my profit margins with local deals are about 20 to 40%, which are super good. And then with bulk deals, my profit margins are hovering between 5 to 7%. So it's not as good, but it's unused capital that's being put to work.
So with those numbers, you
Mhm.
mentioned you're bringing in about 2,000 a month on the book deal. What are you
Mhm.
bringing in on the tech side of things? What's this business bringing in right now in
So,
profits?
so my current income right now this month, because my monthly income varies so much, but my current income with iPhones right now is about $750 a week, which is about 3,000 a month profit.
And how much time does that take you?
Um, between Most of my time is spent texting, just texting suppliers and whatnot and all that good stuff. But most of it's probably like 2 or 3 hours a day that's texting. It's not too much.
So I'm just everybody listening. I want you to pay attention to this for a second. 2 to 3 hours a day, mostly texting. So you could be out to lunch, you could be out at the field, you could be sitting on the couch watching Netflix, you could be chilling reading a book,
Mhm.
texting your suppliers. About 2 to 3 hours a day, bringing in. This month you brought in roughly $3,000.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that you average somewhere around 2 to 3 grand in this company too.
Yeah.
Okay. Those two businesses together at 15, you're bringing in somewhere between 4 and 6,000 in profits for roughly 5 to 6 hours per day. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're only 2 years into this. A year and a half on the iPhone, 2 years on the books, right?
Mhm.
Guys, you can do this. The Chancellor's 15 and he's knocking it out of the park. So I'm gonna pivot a little bit because I'm super curious.
Mhm.
Are you gonna start other businesses in the same fashion, or what are your plans for 2021, man?
So my plans for 2021 is my family is moving, and so I have the opportunity to scale up my book business even further. And so what I plan on doing is I plan on getting a few storage units, and then sort of mostly automate. Sorry, I always taught her this word, autonomizing the process of listing books, sorting books, and whatnot. So I plan on getting softwares that'll list the books on all different sorts of platforms just to increase my market share, and then getting my own website. Just so that I can avoid fees. And then, so that's what the book business just plan on, expanding general operations and automizing it. And then my second business, the iPhone business, I just plan on expanding it further, on the international side, just because the margins are a bit better.
So I'm glad you brought that up because we didn't really touch on that yet, and I want everybody listening to pay attention to this. You're a 15-year-old kid who has international operations currently with a company that you kind of just started out of interest. Tell me, what do you do internationally? So you buy iPhones or iPads or anything
Mhm.
What happens internationally with that? Do you ship it somewhere and you sell it digitally, or do you ship it to somebody and they sell it? What transpires?
So essentially what occurs is I get the iPhones, iPads, all the electronics in. I make sure everything's good with the quality, condition, the specs, everything on the devices. And then what I do is I have a middleman. And so what I do is I ship it down to my middleman, and then my middleman gets it overseas. And so, I make my 5 to 7%. He makes his, 5 to 7% as well. And then the international suppliers make their 5 to 7% as well. And then it eventually gets over to international stores and storefronts it mainly goes to Hong Kong, Dubai, and Mumbai.
Okay, so you're in three different places mainly. You've got 3 people in your supply chain.
Mhm.
It's a win-win-win. Everybody's winning across the board, pretty equal share.
Mhm.
So how do you know where needs it? Does the end user, the store that's going to sell it in Dubai or in Hong Kong or Mumbai, do they contact you via text and say, hey, we need an order? Or does it come up the supply chain too, where the local guy gets notice from the stores, he lets your middleman know, the middleman lets you know? How does that operation work?
So essentially, how this works is the Mumbai suppliers, the Dubai suppliers, and the Hong Kong suppliers, they get word from all their little shop owners like, hey, I need this unit, with these specs at this amount, and then they increase their prices a little bit, and then whoever has the highest number gets the stock.
Awesome.
So it's sort of like a bidding war almost.
So yeah, so it's kind of like eBay bidding, but really niched down.
Yeah, very, very niched.
Now, are you just strictly doing iPhone, Apple products, or do you do like anything high end?
So about 90% of my stuff is Apple, just because that's where the most demand is, just because Apple is the big name. It's also a popularity item in a lot of countries. And then about 10% of what I do is like Samsung, and then like less than 1% is like the occasional LG phone that I get in, or like an Alcatel phone or whatever.
Okay. So you've got, this is kind of a weird question, but let me ask you it. You're 15 now. You plan on expanding both businesses over in 2021. What are you just going to keep growing these things for your fruition, or are you looking to just have these massive institutions that you've automatized? I'll just say automated because I screwed that word up.
Yep.
And then just kind of chill from 18 on, or like, I'm super curious because I know me, I'm a serial entrepreneur too, and I have a really hard time disconnecting. Even on vacation, I'm working because I love what I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know I can do more. I know I could help somebody else. I know I could profit from something. I know I could do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the same way where like you're just going to keep hustling, keep doing things, keep changing lives, start helping communities, or are you kind of just, did you start early so you could quit early? Or like, tell me what your plan is here, because you got my attention.
So essentially, I've never wanted to work a 9 to 5 in my life. The sounds of a 9 to 5 job just sound very unappealing to me because I'm subservient to someone else's dream. And, that's just not how I roll. And so essentially what I want to do with these 2 businesses is I want to get them up to where I can automate them, and then, just be like the CEO, and then, branch out into other businesses. And I really want to get into real estate investing as well, mainly multifamily apartment units, all that good stuff. And so what I want to do with these profits that I get from my businesses is that I want to be able to invest in other businesses or start up other businesses when I, see the opportunity, as well as, being able to invest in other asset classes. So, like stocks, precious metals, crypto, real estate, all that good stuff.
Awesome. So we're gonna pivot a little bit.
Okay.
For everybody listening, you're a rock star, Chancellor. You're a rock star. Okay. But everybody listening's gonna have questions like, what keeps you pushing forward? What was that light switch that went off that was like 9 to 5? Nah. What are the things that you do, your daily habits that for certainty that this is a path that's going to continue to grow?
Ooh, so let's see. So the way that I keep myself motivated, let's see. So I see all the stuff that I can do with, my funds. And so eventually in the future, I want to really get into, real estate investing, and, maybe start with my own charitable organization. We'll see what happens down the road. But I can see all the good that can be done with my money, and how it can, grow into, more funds, just through investing. And so, just the idea of, being able to snowball my funds and snowball my eventual effect that I can have on other people is just motivates me.
Awesome. So one thing that we haven't talked about this yet, I know Trey cleared it with you. What I've got to ask, are your parents there? What do your parents have to say about this? Are they just cheering you on? Like, the whole time? Were they worried? Like, how did this transpire?
So yeah, so my dad, he's been on board since the beginning. He's been cheering me on. He's a tax accountant, and so he helped me get like LLCs set up and all that, all those headaches. And then my mom, she was a little skeptical at first with the book business, especially when I was getting in a couple hundred books at a time. She's just kind of like, are these really gonna sell? And then as she's seen results, she's gotten very, very supportive. I've just moved into the wholesale aspect of phones, and now I'm doing like 10 20 10 18 20 $1,000 packages, with very low profit margins. And so now they're a bit worried right now, but as time progresses and I perfect the system, I expect the same effect to occur.
Awesome. I dig it. So time for golden nugget number 2. Golden nugget number 1 was how you stay motivated, right? You see the future potential. You see how you can impact and change lives and really build something, not for yourself, but for everybody. Golden nugget number 2, I've got to ask, what do you see as how you get to that CEO spot from your perspective? Are you going to rely on technology a lot? What are you recommending? Let's say somebody's in a similar spot. They're a young entrepreneur. They're just starting. What do you recommend they do to remove themselves from the company, automate it as much as possible? What are your recommendations on that for where you're at to help somebody listening that may be in the same spot?
So yeah, I'm really pushing for automation on my end, just so that I can sort of remove my labor and then just do the CEO stuff. So get in the wholesale quantities of books, maybe sort them, but I really want to remove myself from the listing process. And so I'm looking into certain sorts of scanners that can populate listings, maybe like an automated photography system just to take a picture of the front and back of the book. So I'm really just looking into like automation systems just to remove myself from that aspect, and then I'm able to devote more time to other things.
So your recommendations really like tech, like
technology. Yeah,
like
technology is the future for automation.
Okay, cool. I agree with that. I mean, I own a tech company, a software company, and a marketing company. I'm big on tech too. So I appreciate young entrepreneurs being like, nah, he gets it. Like tech, it's the thing. We need to do more of that. I appreciate that. Now, third golden nugget. This one kind of, there's no structure to this one, right? This one's different with every guest that we've had on. You're in a unique spot. You're the first youth entrepreneur that we've had on the show.
Oh, jeez.
So, and it's an exciting episode. It's an exciting thing to be like, dude, this 15-year-old kid's killing it. Okay. What's your advice to other people in your age group, adolescents, teenagers, preteens, young adults? What's your advice to them to just do the thing? Because it sounds like you didn't have any care when you started these. You're just like, yeah, they're going to work. But there's a lot of people that struggle with the what ifs, right? And my advice is always, you only need one reason why to do it. Because you can come up with 1,000 why nots. You only need one why. What's your advice for young entrepreneurs just stepping into the game? What's your advice to tell them to chase their dream, to do their thing instead of settling for a 9-to-5?
Yeah, so what I love doing my job, so it's not really a job. Like the classic saying goes, you never work a day in your life if you love doing what you're doing. And so, I don't want to say I'm living the dream, but in terms of working, I'm living the dream because I enjoy what I'm doing. And so when you're getting a business started, or you just putting your feet into the water, I would highly suggest exploring like one of your interests. So one of my interests is reading. I really love reading, and so books are right up my alley. I'm very knowledgeable about books, and so if your thing is collectible shoes and you know a lot about collectible shoes, you can sort of dip into that. Or if your thing is electronics, you can get into used electronics. Or if your thing is, like sporting equipment, there's a huge market for that. And so you can get into sporting equipment. And so I would highly suggest starting a business that revolves around one of your interests, because you're able to put your all into it because it's what interests you. And then my second suggestion is that start your business on a small scale. So don't like toss like, your life savings or whatever into your business, because, odds are it might fail. That's the fact of life. So what I would highly suggest doing is starting your business on a small scale. I started my book business by buying just a couple dozen books for 50 cents a piece. So, I had $12 invested into it. And then I saw results, small results, but, they were results nonetheless. And you just scale it up from there. I, bought the iPhone 4S for $9 and, was able to flip it for 20 or 25 bucks on eBay. And so, I saw a small result right there, but as time progresses, that small result can snowball into bigger and bigger results.
I dig it. So we're at the tail end of the show now, man. It's been great having you on. I don't even know what the right word to say. It's one of those moments where you're just like, I'm glad that the next generation has people like you in it that are motivated to start their own company, make an impact, build businesses, hire people, grow and scale, and not just like chill and relax and not work and let things break. So first, I've got to thank you for coming on. I know everybody listening's had a good time listening to you, but we've got kind of a wrap-up ceremony. And it's 3 keys, just like the 3 gold nuggets we go through. First one's just one tip, strategy, mindset thing, something that's helped you get to where you are. Just one thing. The second is, what's one of your favorite things to do to unwind, to kind of, even though you love what you do, you can't dedicate 100% of your time to it because you still have to sleep. And if you can't unwind, it's hard to relax. So what's one thing you do to help relax? And then the third, and I need everybody listening to be very cautious on this and listen to what I'm saying. Chancellor Clay is a rock star, but he is still 15. So if you contact him, make sure, 1, you get his parents' consent. 2, it is professional and only professional. If I find out otherwise, you will be removed from the community. And 3, that it's in respect to what he's doing, what he can help you with, what tips and tricks he has, or for your children. If you've got kids that have interest in being an entrepreneur, Chancellor's a great person. So without further ado, go through the 3 favors, man. I know everybody's excited.
So the first key was, sorry, I have a terrible memory. What was the first key?
First one's like your golden nugget, like one bonus tip, trick, or strategy.
All right. So when you're getting started, I guess just start small and then let it snowball. And so, start your operations on a super micro level. And if you're seeing positive results, just snowball from there. You can reinvest your capital multiple times over. And then, it's just profit from there. Second tip is how I wind down. And so one of my favorite pastimes is reading. And so I just, dig into a good book or watch a really interesting YouTube video or, text friends or whatever, just to get my mind off of business. Because if my mind was 100% devoted to, suppliers or online sales, I would go insane. So winding down is very important when you're running a business. And then what was the third one? Shoot.
This one's up to you. I'm not going to make you do this one because you are a minor by definition. So we've got to be respectful of that. Typically, we ask people if they want the community to reach out to them. In your case, if there's other children of some of our listeners, youth that want to become entrepreneurs, they want tips and tricks, where could they find you online? But that I'm going to leave it up to you. If you want to provide contact information, you're welcome to. I've already given a disclaimer. There'll be a disclaimer on the post. It's up to you if you want people to be able to contact you.
Oh yeah, I'm totally fine with people contacting me. I talk to strangers online for a living, so it's no problem. So you can find me on Facebook just by looking up my name. It should be in the podcast title. And then you can find my eBay store by looking up Trails and Books. It's spelled how it sounds on eBay. It'll be the first result. And then I believe I'm also on LinkedIn. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey man, I've got to thank you for coming out. I don't know what time zone you're in, but it's about 6:45 where I'm at. I know it's typically after hours, but then again, we're entrepreneurs. We don't really have hours, so
Yeah.
doesn't really matter when it is, I guess. Just some people like that disconnect. I'm not one of those people, so I pretty much work all the time. But I do have to say thank you for coming on. I know your story is going to resonate with a lot of people, and maybe motivate some parents to really like focus in and help their kids and support them more with something they don't understand. So I appreciate you coming out. Everybody listening, Chancellor's a prime example of age does not matter if you want to make an impact or you want to make some profits and run a company. So thank you for coming out. Anybody, make sure that with respect, if you reach out to him, you reach out to him for something professional. And other than that, this was another episode of The Inbound Secret, guys. See you in the next one.
This is the Inbound Secret.
My name is Bryce, and I'm your host for The Inbound Secret, where we're talking with top performers and health experts and sales badasses alike about their strategies to optimize their well-being and performance. Once again, this is The Inbound Secret, and let's get rocking and rolling.
This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound Secret.